In today's video, I wanted to go through the Bane Thieves Guild questline featured in the Elder Scrolls Online. This story consists of 6 main quests that help to build a narrative surrounding the Thieves of Abba's Landing, an antagonistic faction, a failed heist, and of course, like most storylines in the Elder Scrolls, betrayal. For this questline, I'm going to listen to the dialogue, play through the missions, detail my experiences, and guide the narrative along. Since I'm still somewhat new to the game, I figure I'd approach this from a beginner's angle. Now, a quick introduction to ESO's Thieves Guild DLC. When this arc first came out in 2016, it was introduced as a paid expansion. It remained that way up until March of 2026, and since then, ZeniMax has made it a part of the base game and it's no longer considered an add-on. The Thieves Guild DLC added a new zone to the world, Bane. Bane is located off the coast of southern Hammerfell. Within Bane, players can discover all new cities, fortresses, dungeons, and landmarks. There are also all new characters, shops, and items. Of course, there are also brand new side quests, as well as a beloved faction storyline. The main questline for the Thieves Guild contains 6 long format quests. There are then 7 personal quests that involve the individual members of the guild, but I'll be going over those at a later date. On top of that, there are also heists, tipboard jobs, and reacquisitions that the player can look into. It's safe to say there's plenty of content for players to enjoy in Bane. Now, conveniently, as of July 8th, 2026, the newest season for ESO is called Return of the Thieves Guild, and it's all about establishing the faction's presence in Glenumbra. There's a bunch of new content for that as well. Ultimately though, the Bane storyline is an excellent place to learn more about the guild, get acquainted with its members, and delve into quite the exciting story. So without further ado, let's begin the adventure through ESO's Thieves Guild storyline. In order to initiate the first quest, Partners in Crime, I had to speak with the right person. This can either be done via a chance meeting through the Collections tab of the menu or by heading to an outlaw's refuge. That name already gives quite the accurate description, but for context, outlaws' refuges are where the town's shadiest folk tend to gather. Thieves, murderers, ruffians, fences, just about anyone who would not want to stick their neck topside for too long. This includes players as well. Because my character is a Breton and he comes from the Daggerfall Covenant, my nearest outlaw's refuge was in the city of Glenumbra. I had never been to the spot before, so it took me longer than I would have liked to find it. After 10 minutes of searching through the wrong area, I learned that the Glenumbra refuge is located near the northern docks. There's a trapdoor by the horse stables that leads the player to the city's underworld. Really, the refuge is a perfect spot for players who have an active bounty or who are trying to escape the justice system. Guards won't pursue you down here, no one will turn you in, and there's even an exit that leads to a guard-free area. While here, you can take advantage of vendors like fences who will take your stolen goods and merchants who will happily sell lockpicks. These are all features that are going to be available in the Bane Den as well. Either way, it doesn't fully matter as I won't be spending all too much time down here. For this story, this is just one of many launch points. The refuge simply serves as a meeting point with the NPC Quen. Quen is a high elf thief. She seems relatively new to the game, and that gets put on display via her confidence.
Are you here about the job? To forestall any confusion, yes, we split the proceeds equally. And no, I will not budge on that point. You mean you aren't here about the notice? Well, allow me to explain. I need a partner for a difficult job. It pays well, but it involves travel, and there is some danger. Does that sound like the sort of thing that might interest you? I'm so glad you came along. I've chartered a ship. When you're ready, meet me there. Here, I'll mark your map. Bring some lockpicks. They sell them here if you don't have any. Oh, and wear something warm. Let's talk about details when we rendezvous. It's not that I don't trust you, I don't think I've made a good impression in this place. That is, if you're still interested. You are, right? Of course you are, I'm only joking.
Quen is a natural to the world of thieving, but she always second guesses herself and lets her insecurities run wild. That's something that she slowly works on throughout the story. For the moment, she doesn't offer any more detail. Quen simply says to bring some lockpicks, meet by the docks, and to quote, wear something warm. That should clue you in as to a possible province we're headed to. As mentioned before, if you're in need of lockpicks or any sort of thieving supplies for the journey, there are various merchants around the refuge. Not knowing that I had a good amount of tools on me, I splurged a little bit more than I should have at Alfrenor's, although it's never a bad idea to have too much of what you need. When ready, I made way for Glenumbra's docks and traveled to Stormhaven. This was where Quen had arranged our transportation to head to the big heist. Boarding the sloop, the High Elf finally offers some detail to our journey.
You made it! I wasn't certain you... Well, I'm glad you're here. So, the details. We're headed to a remote patch of land called Fulstrom Homestead. It's owned by some Thane from Eastmarch. He's at war, but his staff and guards remain. We're looking for a relic called the Geovessan Skull. We slip inside the treasure room, grab our prize, and depart before anyone knows the difference. After that, we split the proceeds and go our separate ways. One more thing. I'd prefer not to spill any blood, but I leave our safety to your discretion. If a guard sees you, take shelter in a hiding spot. Sound good? This little tub will get us to a blockade runner offshore. They'll bring us to Fulstrom Homestead and back. I hope you don't get seasick. I get seasick. I'm sure I'll be all right.
Not really relevant to the story, but it is a display of her quirky personality. Each member of the Thieves Guild has their own temperament, and those play vital roles in the story's narrative. When ready, myself and Quen set sail for Fulstrom Hold. This is where the real fun begins. I'd say that the heist is divided into 4 parts. The first 2 serve as an introduction to the world of stealth. The mechanics are pretty similar to previous installments like Skyrim and Oblivion. Right now, myself and Quen are trespassing, so if we're seen by the guards, they'll aggro onto us and turn hostile. This will also raise my accrued bounty. If we're seen by any of the locals, they threaten to call the guards, and again, my bounty is increased. The fine on top of my head is symbolized via the count in the bottom left corner. Now, some of the guards on patrol are holding lanterns. If my character is at all caught within that circle, I'm temporarily barred from crouching and any supporting effects are disabled. My only means of staying out of sight this way are by hiding behind objects. Speaking of which, most private zones have large containers like baskets, barrels, and crates that I can actually hide inside of. These serve as excellent spots to shake pursuers, regenerate magicka, and rework my game plan. Other than that, it's sticking to the shadows, viewing from third-person mode, and staying away from an enemy's line of sight. Also, as a Nightblade, I have this ability called Shadow Cloak. This actually allows my character to turn invisible. I can sneak in front of or right by most enemies and they'd never notice. The trade-off though is that it costs magicka per second, and as soon as my bar is depleted, I'm like a sitting duck. However, for this questline, it's definitely an incredible tool. It's funny, I was wondering if I'd ever actually want to use Shadow Cloak, as up until this questline, I was all about DPS. Every ability had to be damage based, and for the longest time, Shadow Cloak was always on the bench. Well, for the next 6 quests, it finally gets its turn in the spotlight. Alright, back to the mission. The first 2 phases are all about gaining access to the manor. After sneaking through the exterior and slipping into the courtyard, Quen and I were finally able to reach the side entrance of Fulstrom Homestead. In order to get inside, I had to pick the lock. This one was considered simple. There are 5 levels of lockpicking, and simple locks are the second easiest. For this minigame, you have a certain amount of time to successfully depress all of the pins. What's more, as is a staple in all of the Elder Scrolls games, the easier the lock, the more forgiving and accommodating the pins actually are. Gaining entrance, the first section of the manor was quiet. As far as I could tell, there were no guards or servants around. Really, myself and Quen were just faced with a puzzle here. In order to gain access to the treasury, we had to unlock another set of doors. These ones didn't have traditional locking mechanisms though. Sliding a nearby bookshelf, there was a concealed contraption on the wall that contained 3 tumblers. Each tumbler had the same 3 sets of symbol on them: a candle, a skull, and a horn. Conveniently, the bookshelf contained these 3 objects as well. My first guess was to line the 3 tumblers up so that they matched each other, as well as the order of the objects on the bookshelf. After that didn't work, I then lined up each tumbler so that their corresponding object would be the symbol that's displayed on top. That seemed to do the trick, and pretty much instantly, the doors to the treasury opened up. On the other side, we were face to face with plenty of treasures, relics, expensive liquids, and of course, the Geovessan skull. Important to remember, you have every right to steal whatever you want. You can then fence it off to someone in the refuge or the upcoming den. Due to poor inventory management and having plenty of gold already, I didn't do it that often, but it's one of the many perks that comes with being a criminal in this game, and I highly recommend you take full advantage of it. When ready, I swiped the odd-looking skull and looked to Quen for her escape plan.
Surrender, thief! The manor is surrounded. Today the Iron Wheel brings you to justice.
What? Who are you?
Chief Inspector Ranbeek. We foiled your attempt to steal the Geovessan skull. Will you also confess to stealing Magnifica Felora's dowry?
What's a Felora?
See, it doesn't matter. Return the Geovessan skull and surrender, or face the consequences.
No idea what he means. I'll follow your lead.
Ranbeek leaves the room and 3 soldiers from this Iron Wheel take his place. These are highly trained warriors with complete sets of heavy weapons and armor. Technically, there might have been an option to escape peacefully, but in ESO, I'm usually an attack first, ask questions later type of player. With the soldiers defeated, Quen manages to find a hatch in the floor that leads down to the cellar. For the moment, we have a chance to catch our breath and reconvene with one another.
Who was that? What was all that about with dowries and iron wheels? Nobody. Well, I sent word to the Thieves Guild of Abar's Landing. They were interested in acquiring the Geovessan skull. Abar's Landing was to be our next stop. But why would this iron wheel set an ambush here? Are you certain you've never heard of them? Of course, you're right. The iron wheel could return at any moment. We need to get out of here, and fast. Wait, did you hear that? There's someone coming. Who are you?
You don't know me yet, but I'm a friend. Quen, isn't it? Put on this uniform and head outside. The Iron Wheel won't detain a Windhelm guard.
There's no way I'm leaving here without my partner.
I only had one uniform. Go on, recover your boat and meet us by the catacomb exit. Then we can return to the Thieves Guild in Abar's Landing.
You're from the Thieves Guild? All right. I'll meet you both by the exit. Good luck, partner.
As far as I can tell, at the moment, the Argonian means well. Walks Softly can easily navigate his way through the cellar and into the cave system. The only catch though is that he's not much of a fighter. He apparently has a fear of spiders and he's not much help against the patrolling Draugr. However, like most crawls in this game, if you really wanted to be on brand with the Thieves Guild, you could always try your hand at sneaking through the dungeon. For me, personally, my philosophy is that if I'm trespassing / in a restricted area, I'll always try my best to sneak around. However, rolling through a dungeon with monsters, undead, or animals, my goal is to simply get from point A to point B. Now, Walk Softly's personality is joyous. He always tries to find the upside, he's a fairly positive guy, and you can usually find him with a smile on his face. Unlike Quen, the Argonian doesn't have as much character progression to go through. Quen needs to work on her confidence as a thief, and Walk Softly needs to get over his arachnophobia. Admittedly, he's probably one of the few important characters that I interacted with the least. His personal quests likely reveal more about him, but until then, Walk Softly mostly serves as a supporting thief. In any case, finding the exit to the cave system, it conveniently brings us to Skyrim's shoreline and Quen's boat.
I don't think they saw me.
Are you all right? You're greener than my favorite vest.
It's fine. I'm fine.
Could have lived my entire life without running through a spider pit. But we made it through. You'll make a real impression in Abar's Landing. The Thieves Guild, and my guildmaster, who can explain why the Iron Wheel thinks you deserve the same fate they've inflicted upon us. It's an unpleasant fate. It involves branding irons. You are your own master, but the Iron Wheel is relentless, and they know your face. They know your partner's face, too. So, tell me where we're all headed? I suggest Abba's Landing as soon as you're able.
Well, wanting to stay incognito and in search of more adventure, I waved farewell to Skyrim. The three of us set sail for Hammerfell, and the adventure with the Thieves Guild had begun.
Always a pleasant journey to Abba's Landing. Head to our Thieves' Den. The Guildmaster awaits. Your partner and I will be along when she's less expulsive. Hidden within an old cistern that's long forgotten by the city's merchant lords. A new home for us after the Iron Wheel tore apart the old one. It's a bit damp. You get used to it.
Abba's Landing is truly a magnificent city. It's quite large, has different districts, it's filled with a diverse cast of characters, and it tells a story everywhere you go. Abba's Landing is accessible via the waterfront as well as a way shrine that's just outside of the city's gates. In total, there are only 3 way shrines in all of Hughes Bane. Again though, with the Thieves Guild now accessible to everyone, traveling to Abba's Landing can be done straight out of Cold Harbor. In any case, locating the aforementioned cistern on the western end of the city, it acts a little bit like the abandoned house for the Dark Brotherhood in Oblivion. The initial entrance appears quite mundane, and the idea is that it throws off unwanted guests. However, interacting with a false wall, it opens up the real entrance to the den. This is where the player gets access to all of the side quests, tipboard missions, heists, and of course, the storyline. It's where you can buy and sell stolen goods, and it's also home to most of the other characters in the questline, like for example, Zira, the Guildmaster.
Walk Softly sent word of your time at Fulstrom Homestead. Said you slipped out from between the Iron Wheel's greedy fingers. I am, but call me Zira. Titles don't carry weight when you live in a cistern. Pretty bold of you and Quen to go after the Geovessen's skull. Did you know she sent a letter asking to set up a meet? Rookie mistake. The Iron Wheel read her mail. That's why I sent Walk Softly to pull you out. Don't get me wrong, Quen may be green, but she planned a real heist. The kind we used to pull off before the Iron Wheel captured or killed most of us. Bastards. You heard of Magnifica Flora? She's a noble from Tanith with a substantial dowry in her family tomb. We tried to steal it, but we failed, and she hired the Iron Wheel to punish us. I hear their leader thought you worked for us. Want to make it official? If the great Chief Inspector Ron Beek thinks you're part of the guild, who am I to disagree? We need good thieves, capable thieves like you and Quen to pull ourselves out of the gutter. So, care to join the Thieves Guild? We have nowhere to go but up. Good. You aren't afraid of a challenge. The more you do for us, the more gold and respect you'll earn. Reputation goes a long way with us. Bringing us the Geovessen's skull is a good start. Here's your cut. Don't worry, Quen will get her portion.
Joining the guild isn't an offer that can be declined, only accepted or deferred. Given what this video is all about, of course I agreed to become the newest member of the guild. Quen apparently already got the same offer and accepted it as well. Completing the quest, I'm rewarded with my cut of the gold, a skill point, Thieves Guild leathers, and the shoes of Baraha's curse. These add an additional 309 points to my total magicka. With the introduction to stealth, thieving, and the Thieves Guild out of the way, it's time to delve further into the story. It's time to learn more about the situation at hand and what exactly the group's going up against. With that, thus ends the quest, Partners in Crime. Revisiting my conversation with Zira, she resumes our chat with the failed heist and the Iron Wheel.
I told you about our failed heist, the one that led the Iron Wheel to Abba's Landing. Someone pointed them in our direction. It's time we found out exactly who it was. My gold is on Velsa. She was part of our Thieves' Council, the guild's inner circle, but she retired just before the dowry heist. It might be coincidence, or it might be she sold us out for large stacks of coin. That's what I'd like to find out. You and I should pay her a visit, see if the Iron Wheel funds her retirement. There's a breach in the city wall, outside the flooded district. Meet me there when you're ready. Thieves should always travel separately. Advice from Nicholas.
It's a bold accusation to point fingers at old guildmates, but with just how far the guild's fallen, nothing should be off the table. Before our chat ended, Zira uttered a quote from someone named Nicholas. When asked who that is, Zira says that was once the former guildmaster. He was a friend to all and a great mentor. However, he was one of the many thieves that lost his life in the dowry heist, hence Zira's new role with trying to pick up the pieces. Obviously, whenever you'd like, you could have a look around the Thieves' Den. At any point, you can embark on the various side missions, and honestly, those could help to offer even more insight on the guild's dynamic and inner workings. For my journey though, I left the HQ and made way for the quest marker. This brought my character outside the city walls and over to the flooded district. It's written in the lore for Bane, but the surrounding desert is full of dangers and hazards, harsh terrains, inhospitable environments, and deadly creatures. In the First Era, Prince Hubalajad attempted to establish civilization and trade routes in this corner of Hammerfell. He ended up failing time and time again, and thus the area was named Bane. Eventually, a military camp was able to sustain itself in these parts, and that slowly evolved into Abaz Landing, named after Prince Hugh's most trusted soldier and the first to technically touch down on the land. Arriving outside the flooded district, Zira was waiting for me in a small tunnel. As I was busy defending myself, she insisted that I tried to be quieter, as there were Iron Wheel patrols lurking about. Thanks for the support, Guildmaster. After one of the soldiers stumbled his way through and collapsed, the Red Guard searched his body and found a unique letter.
What's this? A message to Chief Inspector Runbeak?
More was
Let's see what it says.
charity.
Damn it. Damn it! Change of plans. You need to see this. This message is to Chief Inspector Runbeak. It's about an arrest order. Velsa's arrest order. She isn't working with the Iron Wheel. She's their next target. Velsa was the last living person who could have placed the Iron Wheel on our trail. But it wasn't her. Of course it wasn't. Now I need to tell my least favorite person that she's in mortal danger. I can't stand her, but she was always one of our best. I could really use her help in restoring the Thieves Guild. My eye just twitched. I need to control that around Velsa. Never show her your tell. I want to rush in, give the Iron Wheel a reason to fear us. But I'm in charge, and if I'm captured, the Thieves Guild is dead. Can't believe I'm saying this, but I need to fall back to the den while you warn Velsa. Show her the Iron Wheel's message. Tell her Nicholas is dead if you have to. Do what you can to bring her to the den. But if she refuses, leave her. I owe her a warning. Nothing more. Head to the upper levels and search for her villa. It's a bit of a maze, but look for a big garden. And watch for traps. Elsa is enthusiastic about her privacy.
That certainly flips the script on its head. Suspect number 1 turned into the Iron Wheel's prime target. Let's see if the guild can get to Velsa before anything serious happens. From the tunnel, I'm free to make my way into a nearby abandoned home. Not before battling my way through some crocodiles, of course. They definitely got the jump on me here. I honestly didn't see them wading in the water. The abandoned house serves as a transition point between the flooded district and the civilized areas of Abaz Landing. It should be a quick in and out. However, if you wanted a small pit stop, the top floor actually contains a chest that's secured with a master level lock. This is the hardest level for a lock in the game, and if you don't have that many lockpicks on you, it might be best to return at a later date. Otherwise, it's not important to the story, but if you do manage to crack it open, you can net yourself some unique and powerful items. In any case, back to the quest, the house leads me out into a separate district of Abaz Landing. While all seems normal here, the Iron Wheel have begun to patrol the streets. They're essentially working the same job as I am. They're trying to find Velsa's villa. This leads to multiple encounters with the antagonistic group. They've planted themselves on the ground and up in the rafters. It's practically impossible to follow the quest marker without wandering directly through their paths. If they see you, it's immediate hostility. There is of course nothing wrong with this route though. Since I'm not trespassing or in a restricted area, the conflict between them and myself is 100% legal. That means that any action is permitted, including lethal violence. However, in the spirit of the questline, it's also fun to try and sneak past some of the soldiers. In my opinion, it's not the easiest thing to do here, but it can work out. Along the way, there are various traps that I had to try and avoid. Unfortunately, I ended up getting caught up in a lot of them. Luckily for me, at best, they mostly just stun my character and render him vulnerable to the iron wheel for a few moments. Then, after that, it's back to business. Eventually, I managed to wander onto Velsa's property. I could overhear two NPCs bickering with one another. One of them was Velsa, and the other was a Khajiit. The Dark Elf reiterated to him that she was retired, but the Khajiit was practically begging for her help. Leaping down into the courtyard, my presence seemed to catch the attention of both characters. Fortunately, they didn't respond with hostility, but rather curiosity.
You made it past my traps. You're lucky, stupid, or quite skilled. I haven't decided which. Well, my garden needs tending. Out with it, and be on your way. What Thieves Guild? The Iron Wheel killed or branded the lot of them. Did your illustrious guildmaster send you? Tell Nicholas if he shows his face here, I'd have a mind to slap it. With a switch. Covered in nettles. Then he finally went through with his damned fool heist. So, Guildmaster Zira sends a warning, does she? Nicholas barely in the ground, and she seeks to uproot my retirement? The old cistern? Zira wouldn't warn me unless she wanted something. And I would like to see the quality of recruits she allows into her thieves' den. Very well. Help me repay a favor, and I'll play Zira's vastly inferior game. This is where you agree. Ah, you showed interest. I'll consider that your agreement. The skittish Khajiit pretending not to eavesdrop is Silverclaw. Ask him why he needs our help. Meet me behind his old warehouse, after you know what you're walking into.
With no other choice but to play along, I turned to Velsa's companion and began chatting with him.
Thieves Guild restored to Abba's Landing? I am most grateful for your timely and unexpected assistance. You see, my bountiful warehouse was taken from me by some conniving and nefarious individual. That is the question I keep asking myself. One day I arrived to find unfamiliar guards. They chased me from my own warehouse like a common dragon frog. Someone must have bribed my overseers. It does not matter. I need you to recover what was lost. What? No! Did I fail to mention the ledger hidden in my old office? I may have lost my warehouse, but the ledger is worth twice that entire rickety building. If you help Velsa restore it to me, I shall be most grateful to the Thieves Guild.
The mission to warn Velsa about the bounty on her head keeps evolving. I now have to help out Silverclaw by aiding Velsa with a completely unrelated task. I suppose though that if that's how the guild can get her assistance, then so be it. So, you probably caught on to her personality already, but Velsa is cynical, dismissive, and short-tempered. She mostly cares for her own well-being, won't agree to much if she doesn't get anything out of it, and isn't afraid to speak exactly what's on her mind. Honestly, she's become one of my favorite characters in this story. For obvious reasons, she has a lot of room for growth and an interesting character arc. Plus, the dynamic between her and Zira is incredibly entertaining. More on that later. For now, it's off to the matter at hand. Using a series of passages and slipping in and out of buildings, I found myself in the warehouse district. This entire space was considered a restricted area. I had to be extra cautious while sneaking from one end to the other. Not only were there workers that could easily turn me in, but there were also guards patrolling the docks and streets. For this portion, Shadow Cloak worked wonders for me here. Well, not before catching the attention of someone, but hey, it was a small enough bounty. Somewhat.
You're here, and relatively unskewered. Next is the significantly harder part. First, we sneak into the warehouse. Next, we observe our surroundings. Finally, and this is the most important part, you do exactly what I tell you to do. You didn't bother to ask Silverclaw? Sharp as a barrel bottom, you are. Silverclaw wants us to recover his ledger. Like a book? Have you seen those before? Squiggly lines, sometimes pictures about as thick as your skull? Dancing girls and animal acts. It's a warehouse. Sweaty laborers and rough-hewn crates. What do you expect?
Following Velsa, we entered the warehouse and snuck up to some nearby crates. The overseer had his eyes on the entire building, making it tricky to get to Silverclaw's office.
A fool braying orders to lackeys. I meant Guildmaster Zira. But yes, We'll need to get past that overseer to reach Silverclaw's old office. First, you'll wait for me to get into position. Then you'll distract him so I can knock him on the head. Here, take this stink apple. An alchemically infused apple. Throw it hard enough and it breaks open, surrounding your enemy with a rancid bouquet of boiled netch farts. Try not to miss. Make your way past the guards. Silverclaw hid the ledger in his old office. We'll meet there. Now wait until I'm in position, then throw the stink apple.
Velsa uses some ability to teleport herself behind the Overseer, Torquemane. It almost seems like it's a cast of some sort, but it's probably just a smoke bomb and some plot armor. With her in position, I can go ahead with the prompt to lob the stink apple at Torquemane. The plan gets executed perfectly. As the smell fills the air, the Nord gets distracted and Velsa hits him over the head, knocking him unconscious. This opens a brief window for me to climb up the rafters and follow the pathway to the offices. The bottom section of the warehouse is filled with guards and patrols, so it's best to stay up high if you're looking to avoid any conflict. From here, there's a set of doors that lead myself and Velsa back out into Abba's Landing, then over to Silverclaw's previous studio. The office is secured via a simple lock, and after picking the master one in the abandoned house, this truly felt like a breeze. Once inside the space, Silverclaw's ledger was in the chamber on the western end. It was hidden underneath the floor. Securing it, myself and Velsa were free to leave the office. Almost. The dark elf heard noises coming from outside. Someone was coming. She told me to get into the nearby hiding spot and to wait for her signal.
You see? No one here. Trying to cover up for your nap?
Torquemane is ever vigilant. There is an intruder in this warehouse.
Cautious people are on their way to inspect the warehouse. We don't have time for this nonsense.
An explosion! Torquemane knew something was amiss.
Surprise, you fools. I'll collect Silverclaw. Meet us back at the Thieves' Den.
The explosion serves as the perfect distraction for me and Velsa to get out of the warehouse district. Exiting back out onto the rooftops, I decided to make the leap of a lifetime. I figured fleeing via the sea was probably the quickest way to leave, and one of the safest too. Well, my little swim through the harbor would end up catching the attention of a dock worker, and racking up more of a bounty for my character. What's going through with an in-game crime without procuring a little heat, right? In any case, escaping the docks, I was now free to return to the Thieves Guild den. Waiting outside of the cistern was Velsa. She seemed a little hesitant to go on inside, although she did a great job at covering up her true feelings.
I'll speak with Zira when I'm damned well ready. Best to let her stew on what I've done. Don't rush me. The Overseer mentioned someone coming to inspect the warehouse. Kosh, was it? Must be a new player. Hadn't heard the name before I retired. It always comes to coin with the Abba's Landing merchant lords. Consolidate the competition, lock them in a set of gilded chains, then profit. But not that warehouse. My distraction made it undesirable. My own concoction. When poured into a crate filled with sawdust, the crate emits a thick smoke. Any reasonable person would reach for a bucket of water to douse what appears to be oncoming flame, yet it reacts quite poorly to water. The deafening bang is the least of it. The smoke increases tenfold, mimicking the mating odors of the female dragon frog. Every male dragon frog in the city should fill the warehouse by sunrise. Hope they confuse Kosh's shoe for a mate.
Do you have the ledger? Was it all for naught? Oh, there is so much naught on your face. My heart shrinks in despair. But I am quite bad at reading faces. And in this place, my nose doesn't help. So, does the stink of victory waft about you? Wonderful! Were my perfidious overseers inconvenienced in any way? I do so hope they are bereft of convenience. Yet, the others who labored for me are blameless. Should they desire it, they shall have a place in my future endeavors.
While not directly affiliated with the guild, Silverclaw has his own quirky personality. He's over the top and quite animated, but that's exactly why I love talking to him. He's comical, interesting, and his dialogue always makes me chuckle. Ready to wrap up this quest, I entered the Thieves' Den and located Zira. I don't know if she'll be happy or nervous to hear that our rescue efforts were successful and that Velsa is right outside the cistern.
Back without Velsa? Can't say I'm surprised. I've met camels less stubborn. I'm happy to hear Velsa plans to join us. Her skills will be invaluable. Not very convincing, was it? I'll need to practice.
You could practice thinking with your mouth closed.
Oh, joy. Here she is. Velsa, I'd recognize your grating voice anywhere. How is your retirement? Seems there are some troubles from which you can't run away.
It's very relaxing, Guild Master. Did you know I named a weed after you? It grows taller than it should and takes more water than its share from the plants around it.
That's hard to believe. You were never the type of person to get your hands dirty.
Oh, it's true. The Danazera weed thrives in the dark. I take great pleasure in cutting it down to size every day.
Like I said before, the dynamic between these two is rocky at best, but that's what makes their encounters incredibly entertaining. As a reward for completing this mission, I received a skill point, 370 gold, as well as Baraha's Cursed Gauntlets. With the team slowly coming together, perhaps we can start to make some headway into the Iron Wheel investigation. With that, thus ends the quest, Cleaning House. At this point, the expansion is beginning to open up a lot more. You'll see all new quest markers and points of interest. What's more, because of how my conversation with Zira ended off, I needed to go out of my way to talk with some of the other thieves in order for the storyline to continue. There are two in particular that serve as messengers for the guild, Thrag and Andari. Both NPCs are stationed by an exit, so they're easy enough to spot. Just in case you get lost in other stories, they'll help to remind you of the main questline.
Zira needs you in the den. Said she has something for you. Something about the bastard who forced Silverclaw from his own warehouse. Cash, I think. Some fancy pantalooned merchant lord who might be after the guild's old rackets. Zira's in the den. Don't keep her waiting.
As pointed out by Velsa, Kosh seems to be a new player in town. If he's the one who strong-armed Silverclaw, then what else could he be behind? The only way to find out is by looking into him. Returning to the den, I spoke with the guildmaster about our next move.
There you are. Remember Velsa's friend, Silverclaw? He is quite grateful you recovered his ledger. Seems he kept his ears open for word of that merchant lord, Kosh. If Kosh took over Silverclaw's warehouse, he's grabbing the rackets we used to control. And if he's after our old business, there's a good chance he's hungry for even more. Skooma trade, slavery, things we never touched. Before we give Kosh a swift kick to the coin purse, I want you to find out just how dirty his hands are. I sent the others ahead to do some groundwork. Start with Walk Softly. Look for him near the harbor. I sent Quen to her own task, and Velsa too. Didn't even second guess me. She must be up to something. Not enough. Some of the merchant lords prefer to bide their time in obscurity, using trusted servants to handle their affairs. Then they reveal themselves, like a beetle in the pudding. Whatever Kosh intends, he's no longer keeping to the shadows.
With a plan set in motion, I set a course for Walk Softly in the harbor. Now, really quick, I just wanted to share some lore on an item from 2 quests ago. Remember the Geovestan skull? Well, there was a note back in the homestead that explained a little more about it. It came from an imperial historian named Mercator Mannix. It was addressed to Thane Fulstrom, the Lord of Fulstrom Homestead. The note was regarding the skull's authenticity. Since it's such a unique collectible, the Lord wanted to be sure that it was the real deal. Well, it apparently is, and the story behind it goes that the skull belonged to someone named Tavia. Tavia was the wife of Emperor Riemann III of the First Era. After being accused of treason, Tavia remained a prisoner within Castle Geovesi. Sometime after her death, her skull was dipped in gold and gems were placed in its eye sockets. Why? I don't know, it's not in the lore. It could have been done by Riemann as a weird way to honor or mock his deceased wife, but that apparently happened, and since then, the skull has made its way through Tamriel. The more you know.
You're right on time. What did our esteemed guildmaster tell you? Good, because I found something. The captain of the Dream Snake was always interested in making fast coin. She's sloppy. even for a pirate, which makes her a perfect target for Kosh. She and I have unpleasant history. Best I keep away from her. She's meeting a contact nearby. She's prone to boast. Why not find a quiet place to hear what she has to say? But the captain is a creature of habit. She used to keep documents secured in the Dream Snake. Try there, if you don't care to eavesdrop. Find what you can. After that, meet Quen near the harbor. She has her own task and will no doubt need your assistance. I once told the captain I was a wealthy Argonian prince seeking a fast ship to transport my riches. She let me inspect the smuggling compartments, and then I robbed her blind. She just has one eye patch, so... half-blind. I left her the eye patch.
From here, the game presents me with two options. I can either gather the necessary intel via eavesdropping or stealing the captain's log. The former is, in my opinion, easier, while the latter is more hands-on. For this one, I decided to infiltrate the ship and swipe the documents. The Dream Snake was just across the harbor, and it didn't count as trespassing until I stepped foot inside of it. Getting past the intermediate lock, I snuck my way below deck and tried to keep my character out of sight. Of course, while regenerating my magicka, some lousy laborer stuck his head in my hiding place and I got slapped with a 70 gold fine. Disappointing, but at least it's not any more than that. Shadow striking my way into the captain's quarters, I was able to get my hands on Captain Avani's log. The document talked about the downfall of the Thieves Guild, working with the merchant lords in Abaz Landing, establishing trade in Anvil, and then finally, the unknown contact, Kosh. The captain writes about being blackmailed by Kosh. If Avani doesn't meet with him in a place called No Shira Citadel, then the Iron Wheel will raid her ship. The alternative is to be considered a traitor by the captain's commodore. Talk about a rock in a hard place. Of course, Avani chose a meeting with Kosh, and by now, she should be off to Noshira. Information in hand, I was free to leave the Dream Snake. The next part of this mission is meeting up with Quen in the harbor. Traveling to the northern end, the High Elf was waiting for me atop some crates.
Zira said I should wait for you when I was finished. Well, I'm finished. The flooded district, near where Velsa called home, the people who lived there had nowhere to go after the floods. One of the dockyard bosses offered them work, food, and a place to stay. That's what I told Zira. You know what she said? If Zolguk had an altruistic bone in his body, he'd cut it out and sell it. I'd already know what he was really up to, if Zira trusted me, but she wanted me to scout, and you to do the fun part. Zolguk arranged a meeting with an Imperial client at a nearby inn. Might be worth a listen. Oh, the inn rents a room to Ventilius Proximus, the most Imperial name I've ever heard. Probably the client. The room's lock seemed inadequate. Find Velsa when you're done. She's meeting with Silverclaw at his shop. Did you know he had a shop? I wonder what he sells. It's nothing. It's nothing. I will, but later. Now isn't the time. I don't know why this matters. Zira is like an academy instructor, handing me busy work while the star pupil gets the plum assignments.
For now, all I can say to Quen is, it is what it is. Work on your skills and the rest will follow, says the guy who accrues a bounty every single mission. In any case, again, I'm faced with the option of stealing intel or eavesdropping on my target. For the purpose of mixing it up, this time I decided to sit in on the conversation. Heading northwest further into the city, I found the perfect spot in a courtyard to listen in on my target.
You weren't supposed to tell anyone about our arrangement.
I need your volunteers for my experiments. I would never ruin things for my supplier.
Then how did this Kosh know of our business?
I have no idea. But if you can't deliver warm bodies, I'll find another supplier.
Then pray I return from Noshira Citadel. If Kosh is connected to the Iron Wheel, we're both doomed.
Interestingly, this Zolguk has been summoned by Kosh as well. What's more, Zolguk is worried that he might have some connection to the Iron Wheel. Judging from the contents of Captain Avani's log, I'd say that that's very likely. What's more, with regards to these experiments that Ventilius spoke of, looking it up after the fact, I learned what was going on there. Unfortunately, it doesn't have anything to do with this story. Oddly enough, Proximus wanted to join the Order of the Black Worm. Mannimarco's necromancer cult. The bodies are for practicing necromancy, and Ventilius thought that by experimenting on people who were, quote, worked to the bone, it would yield better results. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about Ventilius, so for the time being, it's off to Silverclaw's shop.
A most regrettable welcome, for I have such unfortunate tidings. What I soon reveal shall be quite distressing to hear. For this, I offer my gravest and most humble apology. Ah, the look on your face is unmistakable. It says, if I may speak for your most resplendent face, peace, my exceptionally sleek mercantile friend. Take a series of deep, relaxing breaths so you may reveal the matter at hand. In, out. In, out. Velsa left for Noshira Citadel. She made me promise upon our long and profitable friendship not to reveal this, but your vigorous interrogation left me no choice. I do not know why she travels to the headquarters of the Iron Wheel, but I fear for her safety. Go after her, of course, but you are so striking. The Iron Wheel will know you don't belong. It is settled. You shall meet with the illustrious Perseus Locke at the Diamond Thimble. He shall help you obtain an appropriate disguise. Tell him I sent you. Velsa assured me she would not venture beyond the outskirts of Noshira Citadel. Assured me! Oh my. With all certainty she is already captured.
It's at this point that the quest takes an interesting turn. With Velsa flying solo and performing her own recon, it's up to me to try and catch up with her and ensure that she doesn't do anything rash. Knowing Velsa, she probably won't, but with tensions high, you never know what could happen. Maybe she takes every precaution necessary and still gets captured. In any case, as per Silverclaw's recommendation, I made my way over to the clothing store called the Diamond Thimble and spoke with its proprietor, Perseus Locke.
Hold still. Your attire is... That isn't a bloodstain, is it? Oh, did he now? Something striking, so you stand out at the next merchant lord's soiree, or a ridiculous crenellated affair that leaves you the talk of the brothel? Well, if you wanted a burial suit, the Iron Wheel charges far less than I. Though perhaps... Yes, a servant's outfit will let you go hither and yon, at least above ground, and if it's one of my creations, the cloth will breathe, but it shall cost you. Well, then I'd assume you're from Abar's Landing. But I know of a certain individual who has yet to pay the bill for just such an outfit. If you happen to reacquire it on my behalf, I would consider it your property, paid in kind. I'd prefer you deprived my shirker of his outfit, but if you're averse to saving coin, I will sell you one directly. Be warned, the disguise won't do you any good within the Iron Wheel's headquarters. Paranoia, of course. No servants are allowed inside. From what I hear, the Iron Wheel takes care of all chores within their headquarters. Anyone who isn't Iron Wheel or escorted by them is attacked on sight. A truly noble organization.
That's good to know. The servant's outfit will only get me so far. After that, I'm on my own for sneaking around. As of this moment, I'm faced with another choice yet again. I can either purchase the outfit outright or steal the outstanding one. Obviously, to stay in character, and because it's likely the more fun option anyway, I decided to try and swipe the unpaid clothing. The quest marker led me to an establishment called Sailor's Rest. Getting past the intermediate level lock, I cast Shadowy Cloak and snuck down to the basement. The outfit was located in a basket within one of the side chambers. It was easy enough to grab. From there, I was free to cast my invisibility spell and slip out of the building. Disguise in hand, my next stop was Noshira Citadel. I had briefly left the Abar's Landing for the previous quest, but that was literally just to work my way around the city walls. This time though, I was headed to the second and last major settlement of Hughes Landing, Noshira Citadel. Remember, Hughes Landing was specifically designed for the Thieves Guild DLC, so most landmarks on this stretch of Hammerfell pertain to the faction's quests. Along the way to my destination, I bolted past enemies like lions, crocodiles, skeevers, and assassin beetles. I don't like to shy away from fights, but again, one of my philosophies is that if I'm traveling cross-country, There's no shame in just having my eyes on the prize. A quick trek can easily turn into a multi-minute bender if I stop to take on every single creature that comes my way. Fortunately, No Shira's Citadel is only about 500 meters from Abba's Landing. Getting there didn't take much effort or time, especially on horseback. Outside the fortress, there was a caravan of vendors, all friendly enough to outsiders. Velsa was hiding among them, gathering intel on the Iron Wheel from a distance.
So you got Silverclaw to spill a secret. At best, a minor accomplishment. He didn't send you to that powdered hornbill, did he? Buy a special uniform to fit in? You do know he gets referral for everyone he sends to that flax peddler? Even when he thinks my life is in danger, Silverclaw still works the angles. You bumpkin. I don't care if you are her protege. I'm not going to do Zira's scut work. I slipped a truth serum to Silverclaw's former overseer. I learned that Kosh blackmails assorted scum and draws them to No Shira Citadel for a meeting. So let's find out why. It seems Kosh contacts little fish from a position of power, threatens exposure, and bends them to his will. Elegant. What I'd do. But his connection to the Iron Wheel isn't clear. That troubles me. Now that Zira's protege is here, poor old Velsa can rest her weary bones. Find a way into the Iron Wheel's headquarters and learn how they're connected to Kosh. Oh, and blackmail needs documents. Be sure to swipe them. Zira tells me you're a thief. Go break into a place you shouldn't be. Take something valuable and leave before they notice. I did hear something about a passphrase for a service door. Look around, use your brain. I won't spoon-feed you. When you find what you need, get out and head back to the den. Don't get caught, and if you do, bite off your tongue before their torture forces you to shriek my name. You'll be fine.
So it seems that all roads lead to Kosh. First, the pirates and sailors of Abba's Landing, and then the suspected Iron Wheel. Everything seems connected to this brand new player, and it's time to find out why. Going into my inventory, I went to my character's appearances and slipped on the Iron Wheel's servant outfit. Interestingly, the disguise only works with certain NPCs. For example, anyone who's labeled as a sentry, which mind you, were most of the guards around here, would find my character suspicious. If I stuck around for too long, it'd only be a matter of moments before they discovered me. So, even though I should have had some form of immunity here, I still had to use Shadow Cloak to move around safely. Plus, if I had ever gotten caught in a trap, that would completely ruin my disguise. I'd then have to look around for another servant's outfit. Fortunately, there were plenty on the premises, but still, an added task to the already complex mission. Speaking of which, as for the task at hand, my goal was to maneuver around the Citadel and find the 3 Iron Wheel precepts. Each precept slip contained a part of the passphrase on it. The slips were placed in tents that were located in different sections of the courtyard. Getting to and from each tent wasn't overly complicated, and what's more, because this is considered a public space, I was able to take advantage of the distractions that were put in place by other ESO players. Before I knew it, I was clear to go to the headquarters and present the password to the doorman.
What is the fate of the lawbreaker? What is the fate of the unrepentant? What of those who would deny their fate? Enter and find peace within.
Entering the HQ with no disguise, the doorman immediately noticed that I didn't belong. However, he was no soldier, so he simply froze in place and begged for his life. Since he wasn't a threat, I moved along to the next chamber over. Conveniently, this room was placed right behind Kosh's meeting point. The negotiations with the pirates had started. I could poke my head into the office and eavesdrop on the conversation.
This is your only chance to consider my proposal. Work for me, or else.
Or else what?
Or I hand these documents to the Iron Wheel. They do so frown on slavery and skooma peddling. Take a moment to consider your option.
Unfortunately for Kosh, he had placed his evidence on the nearby windowsill. These were the merchant's plans, and being left unguarded, I helped myself to his documents.
Well?
What choice do we have? We're in.
Good. Then I shall make your documents disappear. What? My papers were here. Did they fall behind the... I'll attend to that after my meeting with Chief Inspector Ron Beek. Do remember who holds your reins.
That went well, I think.
Continuing to move through the HQ, I made my way into the administration block. The Iron Wheels hub is actually just an old Yakutan fortress. There are supplies in here that likely arrived many moons ago. There were old stone corridors and walls that have since been flooded with the surrounding sands. Of course, all of the traps are still active, so I had to watch out for those. Spotting a suspicious relief in one of the nooks, I was able to slip through it. This brought me directly to Chief Inspector Rombeek's office, and it was here that he was meeting with Kosh.
I can locate Magnifica Felora's dowry. I can return it to you within the fortnight.
And what is your interest in the matter? Exactly.
The Iron Wheel must leave Hughes Bane. He is simply bad for business.
If you recover Magnifica Felora's dowry, I can guarantee our return to Tanith.
There is another minor request, hardly a trifle. Perhaps we can discuss it over drinks?
I do not drink.
Then I shall take your share. Come, an office is no place to do business.
So the plot thickens. The Iron Wheel is clearly in cahoots with Kosh, but what's more, Kosh claims he can get a hold of Magnifica Felora's dowry. This is the same dowry that the Iron Wheel believed that the Thieves Guild had taken. So not only are the Iron Wheel's motives now a mystery, Kosh appears to be even more connected to just about everything than I initially believed. Could he be the one who's antagonizing the faction as well? Possibly, but there's still a lot of missing pieces. For now, my best bet is to escape Noshira's citadel and return to Abaz Landing. Popping out in the far corner of the courtyard, I simply decided to bulldoze through the Iron Wheel and make haste for the city. There was no use in sneaking anymore, my time here was up. Barreling through the desert, I entered Abaz Landing and made way for the cistern. I had a lot of information to reveal to Zira, Velsa, and the gang as a whole.
You see, Zira, your protege returns having survived the invulnerable Iron Wheel. You should have more faith.
Everyone, clear the room. Velsa told me you went into the Iron Wheel's headquarters by yourself. What in oblivion were you thinking? We're not ready to go anywhere near the Iron Wheel. I won't have anyone else die because of a choice. Listen, I'm barely holding this together. No offense to Quen, but you're the best recruit we have. I can't lose you to a feud with Velsa. You're right. I shouldn't take this out on you, or her, no matter how good it feels. All right, you risked your neck and survived to tell the tale. Did you find anything we can use? Impossible! It's still in Magnifica Felora's family tomb. The dowry heist failed. Nicholas and the others died before we reached the treasure vaults. No, the Iron Wheel was here to punish us for attempting the heist. But if that's what you heard, were they really searching for the dowry all along? Why come after us with such ferocity? What else did you learn? Let me see. This is comprehensive. Elaborate details on merchant lords in Abaz Landing, as well as rivals throughout the region. Maps to stolen goods we could recover for ourselves. I'll go through what you recovered, see if it offers a clue to Kosh's plans, or anything involving the missing dowry. I need to make sense of all this. Get some rest. I'll need you ready when we make our move. And good job.
The rewards for completing this quest are a skill point, some gold, the servant's outfit, and the greaves of Baraha's curse. This piece of armor adds a buff to my maximum health. As it turns out, the Thieves Guild's tragic backstory might be a lie. There might be something amiss with the heist of Magnifica Felora's family tomb. Something that could reveal an incredible twist to the story's plot. With that, thus ends the quest, The Long Game. Wandering around the den, I reorganized my character and got ready for whatever was next. I wasn't quite sure what was in store for the guild, but I knew it'd be something big.
Zira's looking for you, didn't seem too happy. Nothing you did. She's just stiffer than normal. And that's saying something. You know of our botched raid on Magnifica Felora's tomb. but the Iron Wheel is here to recover her missing dowry. So, if we didn't take it, who did? Zira wants answers. She's in the den. Go on, now. You know where to find Zira. Always staring at papers in the den she is.
With the dowry stolen, that means someone would have had to have performed the heist after the Thieves Guild. That's exactly what's in store next for the faction, finding out who stole it before Kosh and the Iron Wheel can.
Back to the tomb? Your plan is to relive the Guild's greatest failure?
My plan is to get the Iron Wheel's boot off our necks. Good, you're here. I want to learn whether Magnifica Felora's dowry was truly stolen from her family tomb. If it was, we find out who did. And if it wasn't, we complete the heist that Nicolas began. What's she gonna do? Send a second Iron Wheel? We return to Aldenobia Tomb, bypass the deadliest traps I've ever encountered, and then scour the treasure vaults for anything we can find. I appreciate the confidence, but too many good people died there the first time. We do this right, or we don't do it at all. Perseus Loke can give us an edge. He's one of the few living people to set foot in Magnifica Felora's family tomb. Take Quen and collect him from his shop. Meet the rest of us on the road to Tanith by Prince's Gate. I guarantee Perseus Loke is no friend of the Iron Wheel. He's expecting you at the Diamond Thimble, and he'll be insufferable if you keep him waiting. Perseus Loke once served Magnifica Felora. When she wore the clothes he designed, she was the envy of Tanith's society. But there was a scandal, and he fled here, beyond Tanith's reach. I don't know exactly what happened, but I do know he blames her. Off to find Perseus Loke. Meet you there, partner. Everyone else, pack for a long journey. I'll bring us home safe and sound.
More promises you can't keep.
From here, it's off to the races. A second attempt at the heist that almost wiped out the guild. You can make the argument that we'll be a little more cautious this time around, but you never know. Maybe playing it safe is what failed the guild the first time. In any case, as pointed out by Zira, the first order of business is to go and collect Perseus Loke. Traveling to the Diamond Thimble and heading on inside, it appears as though we weren't the first ones to come looking for him. The shop is a mess. Clothing has been thrown all over the place and dyes are spilt on the ground. What's more, there's no sign of Loke. Chatting with Mamea, the clerk, she tells me a little more about what had happened here.
This one shall lodge a formal complaint. What right has the Iron Wheel to march in here and smash our merchandise? Thugs! Thugs and hooligans! That's exactly what the Iron Wheel said, but much louder and with the shaking of fists. When they bellowed his name, I heard a loud crash upstairs. A distraction, of course. The Iron Wheel rushed upstairs as he slipped down through some loose floorboards. But he landed feet first in a tub of bright dye, covered his boots to the brim. That's also what the Iron Wheel said. Most of them gave chase. The rest tossed the room upon the floor and then gave chase. If you find him before they do, tell him Mamea deserves a raise.
You follow Loke's trail on the street. I'll see if I can spot him from the rooftops. Hurry!
With the Iron Wheel hot on Loke's trail, it's best that I make haste to find him first. Exiting the Diamond Thimble, I can follow the green footprints through Abah's Landing. Not long into the search, a timer gets added to my screen and I can really feel the pressure. Putting a little gas into my sprint, the trail leads my character through the city, up into the rafters, through some alleyways, and back into the streets. Perseus Loke had made his way to the southern gates of Abah's Landing. As far as I can tell, he seems to have shaken the Iron Wheel for now. But if it didn't take that much effort for me to locate him, I think the same could be said for an entire army. Approaching the merchant, he was catching his breath underneath one of the nearby trees.
Ah, a friendly face. Good of you to join me on my unexpected jog. And I agree, this isn't my color. They must know of my previous involvement with your guild, though I can't begin to fathom how. Your former guildmaster, Nicolas, was it? He was the soul of discretion. And I am prepared to give Abah's Landing a wide berth. I'd prefer to avoid the Iron Wheel, at least for the time being. Zira mentioned a rendezvous by Prince's Gate, was it? I'd feel safer were someone to escort me there.
Perseus Loke? I'll get you to Prince's Gate, safe and sound.
Would you happen to have a spare set of boots?
I don't think mine will fit you. Come along, we'll work something out.
With Loke under the protection of the guild, phase 2 of the heist is to meet with Zira. This involved, once again, leaving Abaz Landing and traveling west into uncharted territory. It wasn't a far trek, but I did need to scale some of the terrain, and once again, I avoided Hughes Landing hostile wildlife. For the most part, anything for a sky shard. Before I knew it though, I had regrouped with the faction and met them just outside of the Prince's Gate that bridged passage to Tanith.
Everyone's accounted for. Did you have any trouble? Then we leave for the Kingdom of Tanith. The route is tricky and will be considered bandits if we're caught, but getting to the tomb isn't what worries me. If anything happens, well, it won't, because I can count on you. Ready?
Arriving at the outskirts of Aldenobia tomb, I was directed to speak with both Perseus Loke and Zira.
If I may, there is an alternate path inside the tomb. It is likely full of traps, guardians, and prodigious quantities of dust. A small price to avoid the Iron Wheel. Head to the tomb entrance. Keep watch to the side of the path, the right side. You should notice an old trail leading to a sealed entrance. Simply clear the way, and I shall join you to open the door. Oh my, no. The things inside would most certainly kill me. I do know the trick to the door's hidden latch. The rest, I'm certain you can handle yourself.
The last time I was here, the Iron Wheel wasn't camped in front of the tomb. Perfect. Scout ahead and find us a way inside. Clear the way if you care to. The Iron Wheel can't exactly call for reinforcements. You could also sneak past them. We'll track your progress and follow in your footsteps. That's why we brought Perseus Loke. He said something about a side entrance. Speak with him before you go.
A little out of order for the dialogue there, but you get the point. There are two ways to get inside of the tomb. One is direct and involves the Iron Wheel, who I guess are also guarding the area now, perhaps on the request of Kosh. The other is a hidden side entrance that will likely be void of the Iron Wheel, but it may present its own set of unique problems. Honestly, I was more interested in taking a look at this separate door. What's more, it takes no effort to get to, as I had pretty much stumbled onto it not 5 seconds up the trail. Approaching it, Perseus Loke comes rushing in and unlocks the door. This stretch is called Tava's Branch, and it contains its fair share of curiosities. For example, there are beings called Aldenobian Guardians. They're animated statues, and they come in the forms of wardens, rangers, guardians, and dervishes. What's more, there are also monsters in here like ferocious gargoyles. For the time being, I tried my best to sneak past them. However, stealth doesn't quite help in getting past the traps. These will close on my character no matter my visibility. Fortunately, a little bit of shadow cloak and sticking to the shadows was enough to get me through the branch and into the next zone, to Waka's pillars.
Ask Zira. She knows how to do everything in this place, unless it's stealing a dowry.
No idea. Last time, Nicholas had me watch the passage behind us. There must be something in his journal.
Anything useful?
Nicholas loved his puzzles. You're welcome to try.
In all honesty, I found this puzzle to be really tricky. There were a lot of pieces that needed to be examined before any attempts could be made on the pillars. For example, Nicholas's journal talks about how an old Yakutan tale could be used to help solve this mystery. The long short of it is that there are 6 people mentioned. Each person corresponds with one of the pillars that's attached to the locked door. In the tale, there's a Yakutan named Tanaska who stood to the north. He had his generals on either side of him, Akishu and Belize. Naramaya, Tanaska's sister, faced the south. Those are the journal's specific words. She had her generals with her, Nishka and Puntru. Nicholas believed that each named person plays a role in the puzzle. Furthermore, he believed that the fires in the room play a role in determining directions and that something else determines the order of the pillars. Now, as for the quest markers, they were littering my screen. I was pointed to the 6 pillars, the journal, and then 4 scrolls that were behind each statue. The scrolls themselves were illegible, as time had faded their texts. However, it was the heading of each scroll that held the most importance. These scrolls were related to the 4 generals, and they offered titles for each one. For example, Puntru was the scholar, Belize was the serpent, Nishka was the symbol of pride, and Akishu was the blade. As it would just so happen, these titles corresponded with the pictures that were presented on the pillars. What's more, the door itself provided a decent hint with the order of the pillars. While I never quite understood the blurb about the fires, I did eventually learn that the pillars on the left-hand side were symbols of Naramaya's team, and that the pillars on the right-hand side were symbols of Tanaska's team. Given that there was only one symbol on either side that had depicted a live being, I assumed those to be the siblings, and remembering the story, I knew that the siblings belonged in the middle of the pillars. So that just left the generals on either side. Playing around with the mechanism, it turns out that the sun at the top of the door depicts which symbols should be the closest to the door itself. For Naramaya's team, it's the torch, aka Nishka, and for Tanaska's team, it was the serpent, aka Belize. That meant that Puntru and Akishu were to be represented on the outermost pillars. To be honest, even looking up this puzzle after the fact, I couldn't find anything regarding the fires, and every source had a different method for finding the solution. I don't know whether that means this was a very clever puzzle or a non-coherent one, but either way, with the door open, the guild was free to continue the heist into the next zone, Hunding's Passage. Following the pathway further into the tomb, I eventually caught up with Zira and the gang. They were stopped in front of a chasm that looked impassable.
The journal says this chasm is called Shinji's Truth. Last time we never made it across.
I can't see the bottom. Is there a bottom?
Throw yourself in. We'll see how long before we hear the splat.
Quen, walk softly. Look for hidden doors or switches. Velsa, you're with me. I need your help to walk Maluk's path.
And what of your protege?
Watching my back, should anyone try to stab it. Let's go.
Shinji's path is very likely a reference to Gaiden Shinji, the hero of the First Era and the founder/first Blade Master of the arena. Again, the more you know. Following the dynamic duo, we entered a space called Maluk's Path. This is considered the bane of the Thieves Guild, as last time they attempted the heist, this is where everything fell apart.
Forgive me, my old friends.
What did you say?
Nothing. Velsa, do you see that panel? Put your hand on it until I say otherwise.
For what reason?
When I set foot on Maluk's path, an aura of light will surround me. The darkness cannot harm us as long as you touch the panel.
So, what can harm you?
We could fall to our deaths, or the creatures within could devour us.
Well then, enjoy yourselves.
Velsa knows what to do, but we should speak before we cross. On the other side of Maluk's path is Tall Papa's ewer, a very fancy name for a big vase. According to the journal, we'll need sacred ashes from inside the vase to reach the treasure vaults. So, this is it. We should get going. This is where they died. Edda, Dalder, and Nicholas. Swallowed by the darkness. I'm sorry, I can't talk about this. No use reliving the past. Or regretting it. Here we go. Don't wander, or the darkness itself will flay you alive.
This part of the crawl was honestly pretty intense. The suspense was heightened and the mystery of the darkness kept ringing in my head. What's out there? What's below? And what happened to the former members of the guild? Myself and Zira followed the path and stayed in the light. Beyond it though was the void, the dark pit of nothingness. As for enemies, we'd run into the odd guardian or gargoyle. Nothing too different from what we've already faced, but threats you'd certainly want to have eyes on at all times. During the crawl, Velsa would occasionally call out to us. It was out of concern, but masked with cynicism and sarcasm, some of the only ways she knows how to express herself. Before long, myself and Zira ended up landing at a point of interest.
Ida? Dalder? What happened to their bodies? And where is Nicholas? I could hear their screams as I held the switch. I had to do something. I couldn't... This is a dead end. Let's turn back. There must be another way we missed. There's no end to the darkness.
Zira, my arm's getting tired.
Don't you dare release that panel!
Backtracking through the path, I could tell that Zira was getting more and more nervous. The discovery of her dead friends ended up leaving her with more questions than answers. It was clear by now that all three of us just wanted this nightmarish trek to end. Well, after a bit more violence and some navigating, we could release our breaths. We finally made it to the other side and no longer face the dangers of the darkness. However, just like the discovery of Edda and Dalder, what awaited us on the other side only left us with even more questions.
We made it. That must be the vase. Sorry. Tall Papa's you. Wait. That lamp belonged to Nicholas. I watched it go out. I heard him die. Falura must have come here to investigate. She could have picked it up and brought it here. Nicholas couldn't have survived. Could he? That lamp definitely belonged to Nicholas. I procured it for him. I saw him drop the lamp. It hit the path and went out. And all I remember is darkness and pain. I just grab the ashes so we can leave. I don't want to spend any more time in this place.
An odd discovery that opens a whole new can of worms. There was no body for the former guildmaster, and it turns out that his lamp was brought to the other side of the chasm, showing that whoever held it had made it here safely. Could Nicholas still be up there? Taking the ashes from Tall Papa Zewar, we ran back to the others to discuss our findings. While Zira made her revelation on Nicholas, Velsa's been piecing her own story together with regards to Zira and the first attempt at this heist.
Velsa, you could let go of the panel.
I know what you did.
What?
I know how they died. How you killed them.
That's low, Velsa. Even for you.
Always had to be the hero. Be the guildmaster's darling.
You're cracked. I didn't need anyone's approval.
You held the panel. From here you saw the creatures closing in. You thought you could save them. Only you! So you released the panel, grabbed your weapon, rushed out to meet them.
I could have saved them.
Because in your head, you are the hero. But the light faded. The darkness rushed in and ate them alive.
I tried to reach them.
And the darkness tried to eat you alive, so you had to recover from your wounds. That's why you didn't return to Abba's Landing. At least not soon enough.
I crawled from the tomb. The darkness. You can't imagine the pain.
You were the only one who could have warned the guild. Who could tell them the Iron Wheel was coming.
Velsa, stop.
Zira, you were never the hero. You were always a thief. Now, you're just a shadow.
More truth comes to light on the Thieves Guild's biggest blunder. The deaths of Dalder and Edda were Zira's fault. That's why she has trouble speaking about the event and why she's been so secretive about the details. Zira's greatest shame is getting her guildmates killed.
Quen, it's a bad idea.
Words escape me.
Someone tell me what I'm seeing.
We heard strange noises in the chasm. Stone grinding against stone. Quen, well...
I found this invisible bridge.
So you followed my advice and threw yourself into the chasm.
The ashes. Spread them on the bridge to see where it leads. And Quen, get back from there.
Following the prompt and throwing around Tall Papa's ashes, the invisible bridge gets covered in the dust. This is enough to outline the walkway and give us an idea on how to proceed across the chasm. As I learned the hard way, it's better to stay as centered on the bridge as possible. Otherwise, you'll quickly join whatever lurks in the chasms below. Once through to the other side, I took on a gargoyle and made way into the treasure vaults. If you recall, this is now uncharted territory for the faction.
The door to the treasure vaults, just through this crypt. We made it.
Do all crypts come with whatever that is?
Every tomb needs a guardian. And old Yokuden saying, wasn't it?
Your introduction is formless and without grace. Recite Denobia's maxim.
That's alarming.
Velsa, Quen, walk softly. Stay back. If it's hostile, we'll handle it.
Recite Denobia's maxim, or you shall be deemed trespassers.
It must be some kind of passphrase. If you have any ideas, now's the time to call them out.
You can't seriously expect us to.
Falora!
Yakuda!
Passphrase!
Gaiden Shinji!
Idiots.
Velsa, you aren't even trying.
Trespassers! Denobia's justice falls upon you!
In comes the boss fight for Al Denobia Tomb. Lacade the Repentant is a large mournful Aegis, enemies that are unique to Hughes Landing. It has over 130,000 health points and is capable of letting off a variety of attacks. For example, Shattering Harmony summons lesser mournful Aegises to the battlefield, and Binding Strains deals AoE damage. If your character is more so focused on stealth-based approaches, this could be quite the challenging matchup. However, if you have a combat background, this shouldn't be too big of an issue for you.
That didn't go as planned. You're right. I honestly thought it would kill us all.
Come on, let's see what's in the treasure vaults.
Running on ahead, the Thieves Guild finally gets to lay eyes on the treasury, the location of Magnifica Flora's dowry, or so we all thought. Stepping inside of the vaults, this place has clearly been searched. Someone's been in here, and odds are that was somewhat recently. Scattered around the room are pieces of evidence left behind by the culprit.
Let me see that. Nicholas used half maps like this. Thin overlays placed atop existing maps. You line them up with common points of reference.
What's wrong with that skeleton? Missing its head. It looks like it was hacked off. Must have been done by whoever stole the dowry. But why desecrate a skeleton?
That page, is it from the journal Nicholas kept? Tuwaka watches over you. The passphrase for the Crypt Guardian? I nearly had it.
With evidence likely pointing to Nicholas having been here, it's time that I had an uncomfortable conversation with Zira.
Nicholas survived somehow. He came here and took Magnifica Flora's dowry for himself. I don't want to believe it, but that's how it seems. Unless I'm missing something. Am I missing something? This is his handwriting, but it could have been taken from his journal by someone else. The skeleton must be Denobia herself. This is her tomb, after all. I don't see what it has to do with Nicholas, missing skull or not. 3 points on this sheet. Nicholas always used Abaz Landing and Noshira Citadel as a reference. If I line up those 2 points... Well now, the 3rd point is in Hughes Bane, out in the middle of nowhere. Trash he left behind? 3 dots on a page are meaningless unless you know the trick. The only people who did were dead on Maluk's path. Head to Hughes Bane. If Nicholas does have a hideout in the desert, it's time we crack it open.
While the faction is technically leaving empty-handed, at least we have a lead on who might have taken the dowry, and therefore the dowry itself. While the culprit is shaping up to be possibly Nicholas, the previous guildmaster, there's only one way to find out. Exiting Aldenobia Tomb, I made way for the camel and left Tanith. Re-entering the limits of Hughes Bane, I then followed the coordinates on the map to a random location in the desert. According to Zira, this should be where the culprit fled to after stealing the dowry. Whether or not they're still there is what remains to be seen, but at least we'll get confirmation on who this person actually is. Getting past the intermediate lock, I met up with Zira and had a look around the desert retreat. There were 4 points of interest that I needed to take a look at.
Papers. Signed by Kosh? What are those doing here? Look closely. There's a hollow crystal with... Is that blood inside? Whose blood? Nicholas had a disguise kit just like this one. In fact, this is his disguise kit. Ancient Yakutan coins, stamped with the likeness of Denobia. Those must be from the dowry.
With all of the collected evidence, it's hard to put this on anyone else but Nicholas.
I know how Nicholas survived Maluk's path. The crystal must contain Aldenobia blood. Maluk's path would ignore you if you held it. You'd need a lamp to find your way through the darkness so you could grab a handful of ashes. From there, all you'd need is the Crypt Guardian's passphrase. I've seen enough. Nicholas faked his death and stole the dowry. Now he's working with that merchant lord, Kosh. To think I mourned that bastard. Nicholas would have kept such a thing from the guild. The less they know, the less trouble they'll cause. But I'm going to tell the Thieves Guild. I want them to cause a world of trouble, and I want to lay it all on his doorstep. Let's go.
So that's it. The former guildmaster of Abaz Landing Thieves Guild faked his death and pinned the blame on the dowry theft on the faction itself. Nicholas came out unscathed and completely written off, while the other members of the guild paid the ultimate price. I can't say I'm that surprised though. This is a group based on thieving and greed. However, knowing that Nicholas is now working with Kosh and the Iron Wheel, two of the guild's greatest enemies, that puts a giant target on his back, and that's what we as a guild are about to discuss.
I told the guild about Nicholas betraying us. Walk softly took it in stride. Quen gave me a hug, and Elsa walked off without a word. All in all, better than expected. The Iron Wheel is a hurricane that blew into port and smashed everything in its path. Nicholas and Kosh are the ones who set it in motion. Now, we learn what they hold most dear. Then, we take it from them.
As a reward for completing this quest, I'm presented with some gold, a skill point, and the Jerkin of Baraha's Curse, chest armor that buffs my maximum HP. From here, it's time for the guild to seek justice, or rather, retribution. If the guild has fallen on hard times, then the same should be delivered to Nicholas. With that, thus ends the quest, a flawless plan. Ready to set the record straight, I approached Andari and received Zira's message.
You hear about the wedding? Magnifica Falora, the one with the missing dowry? Kosh found it, returned it, and now she's agreed to marry him for the future of Tanith or some drivel. Zira thinks our old guildmaster is behind this. She wants Nicholas to pay for betraying us. So do I. Last I saw Zira, she was pacing about in the den, going to put a furrow in the floor if she isn't careful. You sound like Thrag, going on about the whims of nobles. Go ahead, ask him and feel your head start to spin. My head's spinning right now, different reasons.
And the plot gets even more interesting. Kosh did some sort of exchange with Nicholas for the dowry. That was enough to trick Magnifica Falora into marrying Kosh. But what exactly does Nicholas get out of it? That's the question the guild's going to try and answer.
There you are. You heard about the wedding? This is our chance to repay Nicholas for selling out the Thieves Guild. Nicholas must have planned all this, stealing the dowry, using it as leverage on Falora. Now she's bound to marry Kosh, his puppet. So we're going to crash the wedding. If Magnifica Falora learns exactly who she's about to marry, she'll turn the Iron Wheel on Kosh. And if we threaten Kosh's future, Nicholas will scuttle into the open. I look forward to stepping on him. Silverclaw said he'd help with invitations. Meet him at his shop, down by the harbor. I haven't decided. But whatever happens, you deserve to be there.
Quite the interesting plan, but it banks on the fact that Nicholas cares enough about Kosh and their deal that he would reveal himself like that. For all we know, Nicholas could have gotten paid and he's simply halfway across Tamriel by now. No time or care to react to Kosh's outing. There's only one way to find out though. Heading into Silverclaw's shop, I spoke with the Gajit about the wedding invites.
Oh, hello. Zira sent word I should expect you. Every important merchant in Abaz Landing received a wedding invitation. Every single one. But not Silverclaw. Lord Walavir, for one. That paranoid cheap lounges about the market as though he owns every tile on the walls. Or that lush Lady Balina. She won't even attend. Just use it as an excuse to buy another dress from Perseus Locke. She's sweet on him, you know. I dislike them equally. Lord Walavir would keep it in his pocket. Were you subtle enough, you could take it from him. Lady Balina would certainly leave it upon her bedroom dresser. Slip past her mentioned servants and house guards to retrieve it. Good, good. When you do, meet me at your thieves' den. I may have experience in duplicating official documents. For my records, you see.
How can we expect a decent forgery? I can barely read your writing.
That is intentional. I write defensively. It keeps prying eyes from deciphering my ledger.
In comes another thieving choice. I have the option of taking the invitation off of Lord Wallaveer, possibly through the means of pickpocketing, or I can swipe the invite from Lady Bellina's mansion. I preferred the idea of infiltrating a new space and working on my stealth skills as a whole, although, looking back, it wouldn't have been so bad to try the pickpocketing route. In any case, Lady Bellina's mansion is on the northern side of Abaz Landing. Getting past the intermediate level lock, I entered the space and made way to the second floor. A full Magicka bar of Shadow Cloak would only get me so far. In between, I'd need to plant myself in one of the nearby containers. There were a handful of guards and servants patrolling the area, and I didn't feel like paying for unnecessary fines. When my bar was refueled, I slipped past all of the NPCs and made it into Lady Bellina's quarters. Here, I managed to get a hold of her invitation. This hopefully should be enough for Silverclaw to work his magic. Taking all of the necessary precautions, I took my time slipping back out into Abaz Landing. Once free and clear of my trespassing marker, I made my way back to the den and over to the crew.
Velsa, for the third time, I hear your concerns.
And ignore them at your peril.
Well, I'm in. A wedding at Ubalajad Palace? Just imagine the spread.
Did you get the invitation? Whose did you acquire? No, don't tell me. I want to see it with my own eyes. Let me see here. And guest! Oh, this is good! The invitation allows for a single companion! Once you select your guest, you should visit the Diamond Thimble. If you aren't clothed in one of Perseus Locke's outfits, you'll stand out like a sore claw. You don't have to dress up. You get to dress up. But your companion will need to acquire an outfit as well, so go on. I'll be over here. The invitation will be ready in no time at all.
So only one other person gets to come with me to the wedding. For a reason that becomes apparent soon, Zira is not an option. So, between Quen, Walk Softly, Silverclaw, and Velsa, I had already made up my mind.
Yes? Why are you looking at me like that? You can't be serious. Why? That's... No. Absolutely not. Pull those thoughts back inside your trousers, set them afire, and bury their remains. Well, it seems you do have some sense in your head. The wine will help me get through this, as long as it isn't the same slop from the sentient serpent.
Not only is Velsa the best thief here, I think she offers some of the most entertaining dialogue in the game. Of course, my choice had to have been her. I had to try and make things weird between her and my character. I really had no clue where that was going to go, and it did not disappoint. With my partner picked, I made way for the Diamond Thimble. It had been a bit since I've seen Perseus Locke. Hopefully he's had some time to recover from the whole Iron Wheel fiasco.
A pleasure, Lady Bellina. I always enjoy dressing you up.
Then you should come by my mansion later to collect your payment. Have I mentioned my husband is away?
3 times, in fact. My assistant will bring you the bill.
That must be the Lady Bellina. I guess she loves a man in green. When that conversation was over and done with, I spoke to Locke about a possible outfit.
Ah, my unlikely savior returns. Zira sent word of your stylistic needs. Well, any of the selections you see here should fit. I have an eye for these things. Please note, the outfit shall be on loan. I humbly ask you return it with the exact same number of holes as when it left my establishment. Oh, that's like asking a parent to pick their favorite child. Each is special in its own way. Delicate fabrics and exhilarating patterns breathe life into whoever dons them. I don't mean to oversell it, but you shall feel born anew. Oh, go with what speaks to you. The first choice is always the best one. Oh, that horrid place of darkness. Magnifica Flora tried to lead me through, but I panicked and fled. It was sheer luck that I didn't fall to my death, and if she hadn't given me that trinket, we wouldn't be speaking today. Yes, it had a crystal holding a small amount of her blood. I mentioned it to your old guildmaster when he asked about the particulars of Aldenobia tomb. It's strange. I seem to have misplaced it. I haven't seen it in months. Why do you ask?
We already know that the blood-filled crystal belonged to Nicholas, but that just goes to show that the former guildmaster had been planning this separate heist for quite some time. He was truly no friend of the guild and used the faction for his own personal gain. But again, what can you expect from a group of thieves? As for the outfits, they were all quite unique in their own ways. Selecting the best fit for my character, I was just about ready to go. As soon as I threw on the clothing, Zira wandered into the shop and beckoned me over.
Remarkable. As though the outfit chose you.
Hard to miss you in that. My. You don't exactly clean up, but you look absolutely roguish. I'll need my own outfit for the wedding. Something with a covered face. Not exactly. If Nicholas is working with Kosh, he may have given my description to the guards. I'll need your help to get inside. When you gain entrance to the palace, distract whoever watches the gates from within. I'll do the rest. Good. Here's the wedding invitation, straight from the desk of Silverclaw. After you meet your date at Hubalajad Palace, present this to the gateman. I'll watch for your distraction.
So that's exactly why Zira was not an option for a date. She was already going to show up to the wedding, just under her own terms. Ready to get the show on the road, I left the Diamond Thimble and ran over to Hubalajad Palace. Velsa was waiting for me by the gate, and even she was dressed to the nines for this event.
You have that look again. Shut up. Feels like a torture device. Are we going in? I'm already regretting this.
Approaching the gate, myself and Velsa had a chat with the doorman, Moizel.
Look at you. Such impeccable fashion belongs on the other side of this gate. Though I am a fool to request it, might I have your invitation? Yes, everything in order as expected. Refreshments shall be served until the wedding begins. And might I compliment your impeccable timing? We were just about to lock the gates. Don't want any riffraff finding their way inside. A wise suggestion of Chief Inspector Ron Beek. He's to officiate the ceremony, did you know? But of course you did. Please, come in. Tonight your safety is guaranteed by the Iron Wheel and House Guards alike.
Unsurprising that Ron Beek and the Iron Wheel would be here, but it certainly does make the mission a little trickier. Entering the palace grounds, I spoke with Velsa about our next move.
I've seen better weddings. Head to the wine tent, drink our own weight, and leave her to the guard. No? You're no fun. I don't know. Convince the doorman to leave? If that doesn't work, there must be a way to sow a bit of chaos around here.
And that's exactly correct. Without the persuasion perk, I'm unable to talk this side's doorman, Zafreek, into letting Zira through. So it's time for a distraction. Looking around the palace's grounds, there are a few other guests here with us. Some make for great targets to sow the seeds of mayhem. For example, one guest brought their dog to the event. Dashka the dog is apparently usually well behaved, but tends to lose control when there's meat around. Then there's a guest named Sajadi who might be a little inebriated. This led to her misplacing a locket, and that in and of itself could cause a bit of chaos if pinned on the right person. Due to convenience, I decided to run with the dog-based distraction. I had quick access to the food table and was able to swipe some of the meat. Bringing the protein over to Dashka, she began to follow me around, and when brought back to the table, she got all excited and started to eat everything. This was enough to stress out the cook, who in turn called the nearest guard, Zafreek. While Zafreek was distracted, myself and Velsa were able to get Zira inside.
Perfect timing. I can't exactly climb the palace walls in this outfit. Before the wedding, the groom should be presented to his guests, an old Tanith tradition. Wherever Kosh is, Nicholas won't be far behind. We'll need to keep an eye on him, avoid drawing attention to ourselves. What can I say? Your own choice inspired me. People seem to be gathering closer to the palace. Let's join them, shall we?
With us three thieves all grouped up, we made our way further into the grounds and closer to the tents. From this vantage point, we had a good view of the presentation. There's a chance that some of you may have made the connection by now. I was able to make it at the end of the previous quest. However, just remember, the player is the only person in the guild who's seen Kosh. The rest don't know what he looks like.
Everyone, I require your attention.
This is it. Stay close. Let's see if Nicholas makes an appearance.
It is an honor and privilege to introduce our host for the evening. May I present the impending husband of Magnifica Flora, Lord Kosh.
Welcome to my home. I must thank all of you for joining me on this momentous occasion.
That's Nicholas.
Please, eat and drink your fill. Soon, I shall speak to you not as a humble merchant, but as a noble of Tanith.
Nicholas is Kosh?
Not if we can help it, you swit.
Well, there's the big reveal of this story. Nicholas has been a lot closer to the guild than any of us could have imagined.
Damn it. I should have put it together. Nicholas played us. He played everyone. There was never any Kosh to begin with. I don't know how Nicholas reinvented himself as a reclusive merchant lord, but he managed to do so. He could have been planning this for years. Bastard. We need to stop the wedding. Actually, we need Flora to do so. I think this can still work. Let's split up, learn where she is and how we can reach her. I need to come up with a very convincing argument.
I have so many things to say about Zira's outfit. Later, when we're back in the den.
Technically, the plan doesn't change all that much. If anything, it becomes a little easier. We know exactly where Nicholas is and what his intentions are. Really, it's just a matter of reaching Magnifica Flora within the palace. In order to do that, we're going to need some help.
There's gristle in the camel milk, she says. Of course there's gristle. Who wants milk you can't chew? No job is worth this. The resplendent Magnifica Flora shan't require your attendance. Bah! Magnifica Flora's handmaid. Everything about her smells like roses, if you get me. Fusses over the bride like a doting aunt. She says the milk's for Magnifica Flora, but I know she drinks it herself. Some wine mixed in could loosen her up and cover up my spittle. She's not my patron. If you help me, I'll tell you whatever you want. The Somerset Hills 572 is subtle enough, but there's a group of fops who always hoard the bottles. Take one when they're distracted, or they're sure to cause a scene, which neither of us wants.
Working with the servant, I'm directed to a nearby chest that contains the bottle of wine. The chest is in a relatively hidden spot, so that makes it easy to work on it. As for the lock itself, it's an intermediate level, and again, nothing beyond what I've been used to. Bottle of Somerset Hills 572 in hand, I return to Tarala to hear out her end of the bargain.
Get me that bottle, and I'll tell you whatever you care to know about Magnifica Flora. Wonderful. Magnifica Flora's handmaid shall soon have her own bowl of milk wine, entirely free of gristle. Master Kosh installed her in his own bedchamber. It's upstairs, you can't miss it. Don't let the iron wheels see you. They're all through the palace like beetles on honey cake.
So Nicholas's chamber is the destination, but now I have to find a way into the palace. From here, I'm directed to one of the nearby servers. As their hands are full and their attention is taken away, I'm free to stick my hands into their pockets. This was my first time pickpocketing. I actually quite liked the UI for it. It was simple, clean, and to the point. With a 75% chance success rate, I nabbed the key and made way for the Hubalajad kitchens. This is where it's time for the three of us to go lights out. Stay away from prying eyes and avoid the iron wheel at all costs. The palace is quite large and complex. There are all sorts of corridors that lead to different chambers, halls, and passages. There are hiding spots placed throughout the palace that can help me reset my approach if need be. While the Iron Wheel soldiers are the violent ones, the servants are the costly ones. Being spotted by the cleaners and cooks racks up my bounty, which is obviously not good, but hey, if I have to pay a 147 gold fee to complete this quest, so be it. Before long, I found myself going through the doors that led to Kosh's bedchamber and face to face with Magnifica Flora.
Who are you? How did you get in here? Magnifica Flora, we came to warn you. Kosh is not the man he seems.
He's a merchant lord of Abaz Landing. That's one step above the scum they scrape from ship hulls. Is there any other grand revelation before I call the guards?
You are Magnifica Flora. Your political power rivals the Queen of Tanith herself. Do not allow Kosh to diminish you.
People say this is not how I imagined my wedding to be. They tell amusing stories of what went wrong, trying to outdo each other's tales. Calling the guards on wedding crashers isn't one I've heard. Why shouldn't it be the story I tell? The Thieves Guild stole my dowry. In doing so, they upset my standing in Tenneth. But far worse, they desecrated the remains of my ancestor Denobia. When they couldn't remove the jeweled crown from her head, they separated it from her body. The merchant lords of Abaz Landing are exceptionally crooked. They buy from pirates who raid Tenneth waters and bandits who raid Tenneth roads. But plundering ancestral tombs? That is too far, even for them. Kosh, head of the Thieves Guild? You say he betrayed his own people to steal a dowry for some mad plot to marry a noble of Tenneth? If you are bards sent by my cousin, your imaginations are sorely lacking. Why not say Kosh rode a dragon? With what time? My escort arrives soon to begin the wedding. I have accepted my fate, as you must accept yours. Unless you can produce the skull of Denobia herself, you can tell your fanciful stories to the Iron Wheel. I have indulged this madness for long enough.
Magnifica Flora is indisposed. She'll be ready in just a moment.
Do you intend to keep me here? Look around. There's nowhere to go.
Unless Nicholas selected a bedroom with a hidden passage. Let's look around.
The puzzle in Nicholas's private quarters is much easier to solve than the one in the Aldenobia tomb. There are 4 wall sconces that could be turned, and each sconce is lined up with a picture. These pictures depict scenes from around Tamriel, but the most obvious things about them are how they each show one of the 4 seasons. Nearby, there's a book about the seasons. It mentions an order: spring, summer, fall, and winter. For spring, it describes the author's favorite parts about the season, and using those clues, I could determine which picture was spring and which one was summer, as the two were almost interchangeable. Turning the sconces in the correct order, this ended up doing the trick and unlocked a secret passageway.
Well, well. A portion of the dowry Nicholas decided not... And this must be Denobia's crown. Nicholas, you doomed yourself. I knew Nicholas kept trophies from his heists. I used to smooth it over with the guild. One of his eccentricities, I'd say. Becoming Kosh hasn't altered his compulsion. He desecrated Denobia's remains, cut off her head. Now, we return the favor. I'll show Flora what Nicholas really is. She wants Denobia's crown as proof. I'll give it to her, along with her ancestor's skull. Once I have her attention, she'll listen. Find your way to the wedding crowd. Once Nicholas is revealed as a fraud, escort your date from the palace. I'll see you at the den soon enough. You're in charge until my return. Magnifica Flora, there's something you need to see.
With the proper evidence of Nicholas's lies and fraudulent activities laid out, this should be enough to stop the wedding and get the former guildmaster locked up. Although, I'm not really sure about Zero's activities and if they're the smartest ways forward. For now, we'll just have to see how it all turns out. Following the secret passage out into the lower halls of the palace, I stuck my way past more servants and guards. Eventually, myself and Velsa found ourselves in the grand hall, where we had front row seats to the wedding ceremony.
Today, Lord Kosh of Abaz Landing joins with Magnifica Flora, the Jewel of Tanneth. It is my honor, as a duly appointed officer of the Iron Wheel, to officiate their union.
Stop! There is no honor in this union.
What is this? Guards!
Zira? You're alive? That is... What is the meaning of this?
More importantly, why do you have the desecrated remains of my ancestor?
Zira, you fool. You're drawing the Iron Wheel to the room.
There must be some mistake.
Chief Inspector Ronbeek, take everyone into custody. I want this mess sorted.
Always playing the martyr. Come on, there's still time for us.
Iron Wheel! Secure all exits! None shall leave the palace grounds! Question everyone here! Be thorough!
A break from stealth was a breath of fresh air. It didn't last all that long, but at least I could warm up my arms. I always preferred the combat approach as it's more direct, but this is a Thieves Guild playthrough after all. Hacking and slashing my way through the first set of Iron Wheel guards, I did my best to sneak past the rest. A lot of them had magical enchantments and lanterns to where my stealth abilities would get disabled, but it wasn't enough to stop me from leaving. Once outside, I cut my way through the castle grounds and left Hugh Balajad Palace. Sure, the guild had gotten one over on Nicholas and justice was served, but now Zira's gone and gotten herself captured as well. It probably wasn't even all that necessary either, as Magnifica Flora seemed content with the evidence, but at the end of the day, who really knows? Back in the den, Velsa had already filled the gang in on what had happened at the palace.
That could have gone better.
The Iron Wheel has Zira. Aren't we going to do something?
Not until we know where they have her. But we will, I promise you that.
Your date made it back before you. Informed us of what happened at the wedding. Don't blame yourself. Zira told you to leave. Yes, Zira's capture was an unfortunate turn of events. But Nicholas is the Iron Wheel's prisoner as well. A small reason to celebrate. Magnifica Flora has her dowry, and Nicholas is behind bars. The Iron Wheel won't be here much longer. We'll have a chance at freeing Zira in the chaos of their departure, whenever that is. But that's more your call, isn't it? Zira said you were in charge until she returned to the den. That makes you the acting guildmaster. Boss?
As a reward for completing the quest, I received a bow of Baraha's curse, a skill point, merchant lord's formal regalia, and 378 gold. Even though I am the acting guildmaster, my only goal really is to get Zira out of prison and away from the Iron Wheel. Only then can we truly celebrate our accomplishments. With that, thus ends the quest. Forever hold your peace. Thinking about how to best approach the finale for the Thieves Guild, it all begins with rendezvousing with the remaining members of the team.
Had the feeling you'd stop by. Did you know Silver Claw was looking for you? Something urgent, he said. That oily fat cat tried to bribe me with a fine wine to keep an eye out for you. Of course I took his bribe. Why do you think we're talking? So to meet him in the den quick as you can.
Word of Silverclaw's meeting sets the beginning stages of the prison break in motion. Running back to the den, the team is all gathered and at the ready.
Silverclaw, stop pacing. You'll wear a rut in the floor.
It helps me think. Now, where is the guildmaster? Or acting guildmaster? Or whatever you call it?
Look who's here. Your long wait is over.
I have good news, my friend! Chief Inspector Runbeak and the Iron Wheel will soon depart Hughes Bane. And the bad news, Zira will be sent to Tanith, where she will stand trial for raiding Aldenobia Tomb. Somewhere in Noshira Citadel, the Iron Wheel's preparations to depart causes much distraction. There is no better time to slip among their ranks. But I am not a part of your guild. You would know best what to do, of course.
We know where Zira is? Are we going to rescue her?
What do you mean, we? I'm retired.
Zira would do the same for any of us, even you, Velsa.
The least we can do is hear out our acting guildmaster. So, what is the plan?
Chatting with the 3 remaining thieves, I get to hear all of their thoughts and opinions on a dangerous and difficult rescue mission.
I know that look. That's your tell Velsa to do something look. Why do none of you believe I'm retired? I could say it slowly. Retired. Did it stick this time? I only traveled to Aldenobia Tomb because I had history with the people who died there. But poking around the Iron Wheel's headquarters? Lunacy. I need a phenomenal reason to risk my life for Zira's. You've already proven you're tolerably competent. All right, I'll do it. But you owe me a big favor, and I will call it in. I'm going to smash some stink apples at the front gate to draw the Iron Wheel there. The distraction will make it easier for you to get in elsewhere. What? You're temporary Zira. You think I ever let her tell me what to do?
If we're going to Noshira Citadel, I can help. The Iron Wheel can always spot imposters. It's not the uniform. It's the mannerisms and protocol they follow. It's all part of their training. They cycle their soldiers between locations every few months. Keeps them from forming attachments with the locals. They see new faces all the time, so they're trained to spot certain mannerisms. Ones I've learned to spot as well. And impersonate. I just need a uniform. They changed those too. Small details here and there. We need one that can accommodate my tail. Oh, and bring the journal we used in Aldenobia Tomb. I have an idea, but until we know our entry point, I don't want to share.
I know it won't be easy to recover Zira, but I'm ready for this. Just say the word. Lots of crumbling walls. I can scout the best approach, see if the Iron Wheel leaves anything less defended. They won't notice me. No one ever looks up. Let me see your map. This place, just outside Noshira Citadel? I'll meet you there when I've found a way inside. See you there, partner?
Well, it seems as though everyone is more or less on board. The task ahead is not going to be an easy one, but think of it like the final heist. Leave it all out on the field. Taking the evidence of Nicholas's treachery, this will be perfect for presenting to the Iron Wheel, as well as Magnifica Flora. I don't think the latter needs any more convincing, but Chief Inspector Rombeek and Kosh seem to turn a blind eye to one another. With these documents, there's no way that can happen now. From here, my next destination is Noshira Citadel, temporary home of the Iron Wheel. Not too far from the fortress, just along the road, I caught up with Gwen and heard about her findings.
Scouting successful. The Iron Wheel doesn't send patrols beyond the walls anymore. They're too busy preparing to leave. And there's some sort of commotion at the main gate. Seems they've pulled a few soldiers there to deal with it. A gap in the wall not far from here. There's a lone sentry. I already told Walk Softly. He's waiting for you near the gap. I'll head back to the walls. Keep scouting the Citadel exterior. Good luck.
I'd imagine that distraction by the main gate is Velsa's doing. Plus, by the sounds of it, Walk Softly is likely getting ready to play his role in everything. Speaking of which, heading for the aforementioned gap in the wall, I could see the Argonian in position, not far from the nearby posted guard. The wheels were clearly turning in his head.
Do you see the sentry? He keeps looking through the gate, rubbing his lips, waiting for one of his mates to come by with a drink. Let's relieve him of his thirst, then his uniform. We walk up. I present myself as a drunk, dapper Argonian. He challenges us, tells us to move along, then sees the bottle in my hand. I offer him a taste. He takes a long pull from one of Velsa's sleeping potions. We take his uniform. Try to look non-threatening, if at all possible. My good man! Is this the gate to Abbas Landing?
Halt! The Citadel is under jurisdiction of the Iron Wheel.
Never heard of that tavern. What do they sell?
You should move along. What, that bottle you have, what is that?
Delicious! Some wine from, Bergama! Why, you want some?
If you're offering, just a nip to get my blood pumping. Tava's tail feathers, it's awful! Ugh! What is that taste?
Something to which I'm immune. But he's right, it does taste awful.
That's one way to handle it. Following Walk Softly through the old Noshira gate, Velsa met us on the inside. She said she's going to watch over us from the shadows and that for now, the rest is up to me.
Here we part ways. Once I'm in uniform, I'll see how well I blend in. If I may suggest a course of action, the journal you brought contains the entire dowry heist as planned by Nicholas. I think we can use it to our advantage. Chief Inspector Ron Beek has an office in the ruins where he entertains guests. If you were to leave the journal for him to find, there is little chance Nicholas could weasel out of the trial he faces in Tanith. Oh, and you could find out where they're holding Zira. Good luck. Don't get caught. If you do, we'll have to spring 2 guildmasters. Shameful times for the Thieves Guild. You go ahead. I'll abscond with our sentry friend's uniform. May need to trim it down. He was a rather brawny fellow.
From here, my objective is to infiltrate Ron Beek's office. It's located on the other side of the Citadel. In order to get there, I had to start by slashing my way through some assassin beetles. I definitely take these over other enemies or difficult stealth situations. Eventually, I found a way to climb up the terrain. This led me to the gap in the wall which held the main square of the citadel. Interestingly though, the nearby guards were all incapacitated or dead. I couldn't really tell. I'm not sure if this was also Velsa's doing, but their bodies were motionless and these coyote-like animals called jackals were gnawing away at them. Either way, best not to question these advantages. Plus, I'd eventually run back into alive and well soldiers of the Iron Wheel. Using Shadow Cloak, I was able to slip past them and wander up the Citadel's walls. Likely because of everything that's happened, and also the fact that the soldiers are probably just tired, there's a lot less fire in their hearts. You could tell that the Iron Wheel was ready to leave Hughes Bane, something that works in the guild's favor. Less passionate soldiers means an easier time springing the prisoners. Slowly making my way east along the wall, I landed at Ron Beek's office. Although the chief inspector wasn't here. Oddly enough, it was just Magnifica Flora.
I have no quarrel with you. My dowry is safely returned to Aldenobia Tomb, as are the remains of my ancestor. Those responsible are in custody. Yet I am not entirely satisfied with the outcome. My former fiancé Kosh, that is Nicholas, has been very cooperative with the Iron. He claims he was duped, that stealing my dowry was Zira's plan all along. Zira has said nothing. Zira's price to surrender was the safety of those she brought along to the wedding. You and your strange little friend. Almost honorable in her own way. Nicholas lies, I know that now. But Chief Inspector Ron Beek has no evidence to the contrary. The town criers in Tenneth already proclaim her trial. Politics as they are, I cannot simply release her. But I can tell you where she is. And I can offer a lucrative proposal to your entire organization, to her directly, once you free her. Good. Zira is held in the prisons beneath us, but you must hurry. Chief Inspector Ron Beek plans to move her, to where I do not know. I'll escort you to the prison door. If you stay by my side, the Iron Wheel shall cause you no harm. Are you ready?
A chance to free the guildmaster and a job contract? Not too bad for an illegal prison break heist. Sticking by Magnifica Flora's side, it grants me temporary immunity from the suspicions of the Iron Wheel. None of the guards give me a second look, so long as I'm attached to Flora's hip. The Tanith noble leads me back west along the walls and over to a nearby door. There was a lone soldier guarding said door, which I wasn't sure how I'd respond to, but as it would turn out, it's simply all just part of the plan.
You there! Unlock the door and allow my companion entry to the prison. Do not record this in the log.
As you command. You there, follow me.
Picking up the trail with Walk Softly, the two of us enter the Iron Wheel headquarters.
Iron Wheel uniforms aren't made for Argonian heads. I'd be sweating if I could sweat. You go after Zira. I'll wait for the others and escort them through.
Running along, I mostly had to avoid old traps and navigate through the HQ. There were no signs of the Iron Wheel in here. The corridors weren't too tricky to follow, but some would lead to dead ends. By the end of it though, this portion really took me no time at all, and before I knew it, I was at the cell block. From the looks of it, no signs of Zira, but I did find someone else, someone equally as important, just for the wrong reasons.
And who might you be? You certainly don't belong. Who are you and why are you here? Straight to the point. Very good. I know where Chief Inspector Ron Beek took Zira. I'm willing to tell you. My only price is a single lockpick. I didn't ask you to free me. A single lockpick, from one thief to another. A tradition Zira began, which means bad luck for her should you break it. Ah, but we have company. And they seem ambivalent to the idea. Ah, Walk Softly. So good to see you again. Have you been?
Hunted. Missing too many dead friends.
And Velsa as well. I thought you'd retired.
And I thought you were dead. Seems we were both disappointed.
And who are you? I don't believe we've met.
I'm someone who knows better than to listen to your lies.
Now comes the advice from guildmates, to free Nicholas and get info, or let him rot and work it out ourselves.
Nicholas wasn't lying. I figured out all of his tells long ago. He knows where they have Zira, which means the acting guildmaster has a decision to make about a lockpick. If Chief Inspector Ron Big personally moves Zira, we have very little time. A single lockpick won't do us any harm, and it gets us what we need. And I'll know if he's lying, so yes, toss one his way. Aim for the eye.
Nicholas in a cell. Somehow, it feels right. Nicholas could never pick a lock, unless he learned since the dowry heist. A lockpick would be nothing more than a thin sliver of hope, which you could deny him. Is his hopelessness worth Zira's potential imprisonment? That's up to you.
I've never met Nicholas before. Far as I'm concerned, I never want to see him again. Absolutely not. We can't know if he's lying, and we shouldn't risk him getting free. His help is the kind we don't need. And I overheard that transfer orders are stored in the warden's office. If we find nothing there, we trade him the lockpick. Do what you think is right, partner. I'll scout ahead.
Now, in my mind, handing Nicholas a lockpick makes for a better story. It adds an element of open-endedness. Will he escape or won't he? Where does he go and what does he do? However, I think I've made up my mind.
Well, is there honor among thieves, or will you prove Zira wrong? Good, good. Always commit fully, even when your heart brims with doubt. Now, the lockpick? Misguided, but I understand. Zira always treasured loyalty over, well, treasure. To show there's no hard feelings between us, you could try the warden's office for her transfer papers. It's under guard, but you look like you could manage.
Search the warden's office. Look for any clue that leads us to Zira.
I figured the guild worked so hard to get Nicholas behind bars. What's the point in giving him a chance at freedom? I also figured that there had to have been some other way to get the information. What if I didn't even have a lockpick? What then? Also, a Thieves Guild guildmaster who can't pick a lock? What on Nirn was he doing leading this guild? In any case, my intuition ended up being right. The office was just down the hallway, no guards, no resistance. On Ron Beek's desk, I found a book detailing that Zira would have been put on a ship by the name of Anemone. The prison ship would still be in the harbor. I guess I owe Nicholas a quick thanks for that one, but it's gratitude that he won't actually get. Leaving the HQ, I spotted the Anemone by the docks. There were two ways to get onto the prison ship. One was by picking the lock, the other was by stealing the key. The key happened to be within eyeshot of my character, and the soldier who was guarding it just sort of ran off. So, I took advantage of the perfect storm, nabbed the key, and snuck below deck. This was it, the guild's chance to spring Zira and be rid of the Iron Wheel for good.
You'll be charged with desecrating Aldenovia too, a capital offense. Cooperate, and I'll argue leniency.
I wasn't sure how to best approach Ron Beek, but it seemed as though the stealth wasn't actually needed. This was a direct confrontation between me and the Chief Inspector.
The thief from Fulstrom Homestead, wasn't it? Why are you here? So you say to an unarmed man. You seem to have the upper hand, for the moment. This won't stop. The Iron Wheel shall not stop, until there is a trial. Desecrating a family tomb, every noble in Tanith wants to see justice served. You mean Kosh? He insists he was duped by the Thieves Guild. His story doesn't completely add up, but Zira has not spoken since her arrival. Without proof, his story is the most convincing. Dowry heist? You name your crimes? I once gave you a chance to surrender. Instead, you attacked my men and fled with a valuable relic. I'm not inclined to take you at your word.
Chief Inspector Ron Beek!
The other thief? Surrender, all of you. The Iron Wheel is relentless. We serve a higher calling than gold or riches.
What? You seem the type to talk all day.
Zira, you aren't the only prisoner we freed. They're on shore and itching to come back to the Thieves Guild.
Yes, yes, a charming reunion. Open the cage so we can go.
Releasing Zira from her cage, now is the time to talk about our next course of action for the Thieves Guild.
I almost said something pithy like, you're late, or about time. But really, I'm glad to see every one of you. Even Velsa. Better now that I'm out of that cell. I can't wait to return to the den, after we've taken care of some business. Thieves Guild business. The Iron Wheel thought to save themselves another trip to Tanith. They loaded this ship with contraband. But we're going to steal it. We're going to take everything they squeezed from Abba's Landing. Everyone! Quen, good work freeing the prisoners. There are a few more on this ship. Break them out and send them topside.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. We'll need them to strip this vessel in the docks of whatever they can carry. Velsa!
Don't bark orders at me. I'll set traps near the prison door. Slow down any Iron Wheel come to check on the ship.
Good thinking, Velsa. Everyone, be quick about your work. Don't linger or we'll end up back in a cell. Once you have all you can carry, grab a boat and row hard for Abba's Landing. Let's go!
There's not a whole lot for me to do in this situation. There are probably some items I could take somewhere on the ship, but I can't actually help with anything else, and the score isn't as big as I'd like it to be. So, returning topside, I ended up wandering into a meeting with Zira, Walk Softly, and Magnifica Flora. It was mostly just Walk Softly shooting his shot with the noble from Tanith, but of course that didn't really go anywhere. From here, all I had to do was get on the nearby rowboat, and it was back to the shores of Abba's Landing. Returning to the cistern and then the Thieves' Den, I wrapped up this final quest for the Abba's Landing Thieves Guild storyline.
Until I spent time in a cell, I didn't realize how much this place had grown on me. It's good to be back. But it's better to have robbed the Iron Wheel of their dignity, our guildmates, and a dockload of ill-gotten goods. With what? They can't look to Magnifica Flora for help. She hired the Iron Wheel to recover her dowry. When they did, she stopped funding them. After what we took from the Iron Wheel, they'll barely have enough to ship Nicholas to Tanith. What they'd planned to do with me, they'll put him on trial. A show trial because the people want revenge. When he's convicted, well, I hear the guillotine is popular in Tanith. But Nicholas is the past. I'm interested in the future. Never waste an opportunity. Huh. Nicholas used to say that. Well then, let's see what Tanith nobles think lucrative means. As for the rest of you, I'm naming you as part of my Thieves' Council. I'll need those I can trust in the coming months. Yes, even Velsa. Counselor Emeritus, if it suits you.
This calls for a drink. Or 5. Where's Andari?
Huzzah! Meaningless titles.
Don't be so... well, you.
My apologies for interrupting. Your Lord Thrag escorted me here. Magnifica Flora requests Zira call upon her at the earliest convenience.
I'll have to celebrate later. Opportunity waits for none of us, whatever title we have.
What would you have us do? Stare at one another until your return?
What does it matter to you? Aren't you retired?
Semi-retired. And what would you suggest? Hold hands and sing songs?
Hardly. The only tune you know is grating.
I think I'm starting to like you.
And that's it, the end of ESO's Thieves Guild storyline, or at the very least, the chronicles of Magnifica Flora, Nicholas, and the Iron Wheel are at an end. There are, of course, personal missions, side quests, heists, and then the return of the Thieves Guild, which adds all new content in Glenumbra. The story of the Thieves Guild in ESO is far from over, and odds are ZeniMax will continue to produce content for it all across Cyrodiil. For now though, that puts an end to this chapter. All in all, I enjoyed the questline. I liked the pacing and the storytelling. For the most part, I felt as though I was able to grasp each character's role in the story. I felt as though I understood the story and the messages it was trying to convey. I was able to recognize the antagonists of the Thieves Guild and the part they played in the questline. The supporting characters were phenomenal, and it adds immersion to the narrative. An illegal faction that has friends in all sorts of different places. If anything, to me, the characters were the highlights for the story. The dynamic between Zira and Velsa was incredible. Silverclaw and Perseus Loke had very entertaining personalities. Quen and Walk Softly weren't that impactful in my opinion, but one served as the optimist while the other was a new thief just like the player. Really, my chief complaint for this questline would have been more thieving contracts, but that's what all the other content is for. This story was made to establish the characters, backstory, dynamic, and standing of the Abaz Landing Thieves Guild, and I thought it did a great job for what it was trying to accomplish. I could make the argument for more thieving in general. Each mission had some kind of theft for the player to commit, but it was very much on wheels and forced. I never felt like there was a proper introduction to the world of thieving. Maybe a 7th quest could have been added in the 2nd quest slot, if that makes sense, where Quen and the player are learning about what's available to them in Abaz Landing. I felt like I never got a proper introduction to the city. The thieving network, the types of people and establishments they can steal from, the connections and vendors they have access to, etc., that maybe could have helped to better introduce the Thieves Guild as a whole, and maybe there's a side quest like that that I don't know about. If not though, I think the story could have benefited from something like that. A slightly more in-depth introduction to the Thieves Guild. Was ESO's Abaz Landing Thieves Guild storyline as good as, say, Oblivion's, which is widely regarded as the best Thieves Guild questline for the Elder Scrolls? Probably not, but I don't think I could fully answer that without having played through the rest of the content. If anything, feels as though they offer different experiences. The idea behind ESOs is that it's never-ending content. There's always something for the player to do, and because of that, it doesn't focus as much on the narrative side, but rather the gameplay side. What can ZeniMax offer to players that keeps them engaged and coming back? Well, I can tell you this, I'd love to run through those personal quests real soon and get a complete grasp for the Abaz Landing story. For now, this is where the adventure ends. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on the Abaz Landing Thieves Guild storyline down below, and until next time, keep on adventuring.